So, Columbus, we welcome you to our second public budget hearing, today, August 29th, 2023. We have some council members on their way. We don't quite have a quorum yet, but we'll go ahead and get started at 6 so we can begin talking through the issues for this evening. Before we move forward, would you please open us in prayer?
God, for this day that you allowed us to see. God, we ask you that you continue to have your way, God, with this city, God, with the people that's running this city, God, with the leadership. God, we ask you that you continue to come into this meeting, God, and have your way. God, allow us, God, to be able to be good stewards over this city, over this city, this town, God. We thank you right now. We do glorify you. And we ask you that you continue to keep your arms around the mayor and this council, God, and the citizen of this city. These things we do ask in your darling son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Bush. Appreciate that very much. Or should I say Reverend Bush, Pastor Bush. My friend Casey Bush. All right. All right, council, tonight on the agenda, we thought we would let Jim do another quick review of the information that we went through last week, because there are people here tonight that were not present for that, and probably some people viewing us on Facebook that did not see it before. So we'll let him do that. Also, tonight we will need to vote on the resolution setting our mill rate for 2024. So we do have to do that tonight to stay within the law set by the state of Mississippi. And unless we cut things that are presently in the budget, we have approximately $300,000 to work with tonight to keep the budget balanced. So those are the primary things we'll be doing tonight. At this time, I will go ahead and turn it over to Jim. And before I forget, I want to say before we end this meeting, I want to say a special thank you again to Jim, Jamie, and Miss Pat on how hard they worked to help, and all the department heads to help us get to this point in the budget. It is not an easy process, so we appreciate everybody's assistance with this. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Jim.
All right, as the mayor said tonight, I'll take you through some of the budget numbers and the sources of funds and expenditures, proposed expenditures for the city.
Can you hear Jim?
We'll also be in front of the council members. They have a resolution for the millage for the city and the school district for 2024, which needs to be reviewed and voted on tonight. So first of all, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jim Brigham. I'm the CFO and the treasurer for the city. Tonight I'll make a few remarks about the new city budget, and I'm going to quickly gloss over the new city, the software, the budget software that we're using. I'll review the proposed fiscal year 2024 results, where we're sitting, and then the fiscal year 2024 proposals. And then finally, I'll attempt to answer any questions you might have regarding the budget. So first of all, I normally start out with this process. I think everyone knows what a budget is, but a municipal budget's required by law. It's the state of Mississippi requires a balanced budget. We need to have this budget completed, approved, and posted, advertised and posted by September 15th. If we don't have it by September 15th, we cannot open the doors on September 16th. So that it's all it has a time limit to get things done. So we're actually in very good shape as far as creating the budget. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the budget process. In the past, we have used Excel spreadsheets to create the budget. It's a clumsy process that had a lot of very complex formulas and was very open to mistakes. In fact, the budget process had about a little over $1 million mistake about 2 years ago that had to be resolved. So, this year we have gone to a new budget software called ClearGov. It's software-based. For us, most of the people in the room here who have had anything to do with it understand it's been a learning process, just like anything else that's new. But what it will do is it will create much more accurate budgets, greater transparency, and at the same time, I think, promote the trust and the understanding of the budget and the finances of the city. I continue as I go around the city to get feedback from people who continue to be concerned about the finances of the city, and I will tell you that we have made a lot of progress in almost 18 months, and I think that some of the issues or the concerns that people have had about the finances in the city are less of an issue now than they were. So I'm glad about that. And as we go through this budget, you're going to see some strong numbers that we're proposing for 2024 fiscal budget. So for the fiscal year 2023, we had budgeted revenues of $24,873,300 and budgeted expenditures of $24,571,438. The good news on that is that on the revenue side, we are exceeding the revenue. The revenues are running ahead of budget. I estimate we'll surpass the $25 million mark by year end. The largest increase is in sales tax. The 2023 sales tax budget is $10,500,000. We're already sitting at $10,436,000 with another month of sales tax receipts to go to. I anticipate about another $900,000 will be added in September in sales tax, putting the 2023 total well over $11 million. The 2023 expenditures are running slightly under budget. We have some general fund debt payments to make in September, but I project that we'll be slightly under budget for the total year. We are currently at approximately $21,282,000 of the $24,571,000 budget. We do have some large debt payments to make that will close that gap. But I anticipate us continuing to be under budget from the expenditure side and over budget on the revenue side, and both of those are the right directions to be going. For fiscal year 2024, I'm proposing a revenue budget of $26,721,010, and the expenditure budget of $26,023,849. The projected increase in revenues of about $1.85 million is expected to come from an increase of sales tax revenue over last year's budget of about $760,000, an increase in charges for government services of about $410,000, and I want to bring that one out. The $400,000 in increased government services isn't that we're going to be billing more, other than it's the increase in the contract for the trash collection, the new trash collection contract that was just signed by the city. So our revenue will be about $400,000 more, and our expenses will be $400,000 more. So it's a push right now for the city. The city doesn't make anything extra in that. But I just wanted to let you know that that $400,000 revenue is not extra revenue for the city. It's going to cost us on the trash side with our trash collection vendor.
I'm going to ask you to try to pump up the volume a little bit more, because the air conditioning is hard for our older council members to hear you.
Okay.
That was a joke. Everybody can laugh.
So the increases are coming in sales tax revenue, in the government services, an increase in the ad valorem taxes of about $235,000, and that's based on both, primarily based on an additional valuation for the city. For last year, a mill was about $195,000. This year, a mill is $202,000, according to our tax assessor. So And then there'll be an increase I'm projecting an increase in interest income of about $200,000. The projected expenditures budget totals $26,023,849. The increases come, about $1.4 million, and the increases come from an increase in the PERS match. The PERS is the Public Employee Retirement System. That will be an increase of about $125,000 for 2024. And I want to point out to everyone that that could have been about $500,000, but the PERS board decided to delay the increase in the contribution required from municipalities until July 1st rather than October 1st. So July 1st of 2024. What is not good, and I think that many of us got emails today, is that the expectation is that that number will have to go up to at least 22.4 in fiscal 2025, and based on their projections of lower returns on their investments, they're also looking at that having to go to possibly 27%, from 17.4, which it currently is, to 27%. That 10% increase means to the city of Columbus $1 million of additional expense that has to be made up somehow. So we're going to have to figure that out. We're not in this boat by ourselves. We've talked to the school district, and they're just as concerned as we are. It's across the state. Something's going to have to be done to stabilize the PERS fund.
Yeah, that includes any state agency, that would be, and also county, school, universities, junior colleges, libraries.
Some of the additional expenses, we are currently planning right now to add a city planner and a grant administrator positions for the city. Those positions with all of the benefits total about $174,000 of increased cost. We're making an increased investment in safety, and safety in this particular case is the crime lab, the police department, and the fire department. That increased investment is $675,000 of additional fund costs for 2024. Information technology improvements. We had a number of projects that our new IT director has proposed. At this point in time, we have in the budget $125,000 of additional projects. That's really made up of two projects. One is the Microsoft 365 to the cloud implementation, and then the other one is a $25,000 project to put in a new fuel system for Public Works, which will hopefully enhance the accountability over the fuel use and put better controls in at the Public Works. And the increased appropriations right now of about $125,000. The primary addition there is $100,000 for the link. In 2024, it's going to be a significant year for the city of Columbus from a capital expenditures perspective. The capital expenditures plan for 2024 is very aggressive. The current plan calls for a total of $11,325,000 of projects. And we'll be adding one more project to this plan as we move forward. The different projects are the pedestrian bridge repair, which totals slightly over $4 million of cost. The convention center plan includes remodels of the outdoor patio at the Trotter, interior improvements, and a remodel of Regal Hall. I have projected that to be an additional $1 million of cost. The street paving project will be, I have in here at least $5.8 million, but if we use the second round of modernization use funds that we'll receive next July, that will actually be closer to $6.9 million planning to use for paving on the streets. And then, of course, the Parks and Recreation project totals $4.4 million. And that's financed through the lounge and restaurant tax fund, as well as $3 million bond that would be repaid through ongoing lounge and restaurant tax receipts. And the good news is that other than the $125,000 of IT projects that will come out of the general fund, all of the rest of these projects are already have funds available to pay for them. So it's not additional money that we'll have to, or bond that we'll have to release to do these projects. So the city has saved up in these different funds enough money to get all of these projects done without needing additional funds. Right now, the modernization fund is sitting at $4.7 million. The restaurant and lounge, which is the base fund for helping the Parks and Recreation project, is sitting at $1.5 million, and the hotel tax fund, which helps support the Trotter, is sitting at $1,254,000. And that's a quick summary of the budget for 2024 proposals. I'm glad to talk a little bit more about the projected revenues. You know, we're looking at the two largest groups are ad valorem taxes and sales taxes. The good news is that sales tax continues to grow. Hopefully that's a trend, but that really is dependent upon the health of the economy. So, but the good news is that all of 2023, that has continued to grow throughout the year over the prior year. So we're hoping that that trend continues. The ad valorem taxes will be up a little bit, and that's primarily because of the higher valuation of the city that over the 2022. Right now, of the total revenue, the state revenues, which is primarily sales tax, is 43.3% of all of our revenue, and the ad valorem taxes is 29.4%. So the two, sitting at about 72% of our total revenue comes from those two sources. The proposed expenditures budget, just to have some highlights here. Safety and fire, we're spending just shy of $11 million on safety and fire, which is the crime lab, the police department, and the fire department. Public works, we're at about $5.6 million. Administration is $3.6 million. Parks and Recreation is a little over $900,000. Appropriations and the community outreach is about $946,000. And then there are the other 18 departments or whatever that I didn't mention that make up the balance. Pardon?
Do you know what the Park and Recreation actually brings in? I know you said $900,000 spending, but do you know what it actually brings in?
It actually is budgeted to bring in $120,000 in revenue.
120. And where does that money go? Just in the general
That
budget?
is
Or do you have a line item on what comes in and how it
it's
comes in?
reinvested back into the park budget.
You know what I'm saying? But you keep a line item on what revenues are coming in,
Yes,
and then we reinvest it back in the park. Is that in his budget?
we will with the new program, with the new budget process. Yep. And that's actually the same with the other landfill. The landfill is the other outside fund that landfill generates about $80,000 a year in revenue and costs us about $228,000. So the general fund has to make up that difference to provide that service for our citizens. The rest of the departments are all in the general fund itself and funded through the general fund revenues. And I guess that's pretty much what I wanted to cover tonight. Glad to answer any questions you might have.
Council, do we have any questions before we move forward? I think what we'll do next is, because we do have people visiting us this evening that have had appropriation requests, that we'll let Ms. Garrett walk us through that.
On the interest rate, Jim, where you said the interest gonna go from 63 to 263,000, what is that actually on? The interest, you said going from 63 to 263,
Yes.
what is that actually on?
That's actually a function of two things. One, we're getting a higher interest rate. We negotiated with Bank of Commerce and they doubled our interest rate. And then it's also because of the amount of funds that we're holding in the bank accounts right now.
Like
And
the
the
bridge.
ARPA money and the bridge money and all that, but once you spend it though,
Oh, yeah, that's why, right now, we're making about $35,000 a month in interest.
okay.
So if you looked at it on an annual basis, that'd be about 360,000, but I'm seeing that we're going to slowly spend down all of those funds. So that's why I'm projecting only about 200,000 in interest.
Any other questions before Jamie moves us forward? Ms. Garrett?
In terms of appropriations, we have about 6 organizations that are asking for an increase. So I will start with those on Zoom. If one of you on Zoom would like to explain why you're requesting more.
Good afternoon, Aaron Jones here. I have, Academy, I have the president as well, Kevin Thomas with me. The reason why we're
Legacy
requesting
Flight
increase
Academy.
to offset the funding that was, originally,
Legacy Flight Academy.
offset last year by Columbus Air Force Base, the partner organization for the event. Next year, that planned funding that we reached out through the, organization, the report that request, is no longer expected to have the funds
Last
to support. So the increase from is essentially to cover down on the cost as a totality, that would be lost without the basic support.
Now, this school though, it's not just for the city kids, correct? It's for anybody that wants to come, right? So they could be from Starkville, Westpoint.
That's correct. I mean, the parking is, the city of Columbus and the surrounding areas of Lowndes County as well. But the target is the city of Columbus, but it's an inclusive group where, people from, the surrounding areas are able to participate.
Did you reach out to any of the surrounding areas to see if they could fund also?
I would know where to start with the surrounding areas, just because we're hosting it in the city of Columbus, started with the city of Columbus like we did last year. Typically, the funds are supported, by the whole city. That's kind of why we reached out to Columbus. I'm more than happy to pursue, funds from the surrounding areas, but if you wanted to be exclusive to Columbus, then I'm happy to do that as well. And I'll let, the president, Kenneth Thomas, kind of chime in with some information if there's specifics that you guys are looking for in regard to, the exclusivity of, the city of Columbus.
We don't necessarily want it exclusive to Columbus, we just want somebody else to help pay for it.
Do y'all have any private, sources that are giving to this at all? Or is it would it all be funded by this 25,000?
I'm sorry, you got cut off there.
Okay, do you have any private sources that are giving any donations, or does it take 25,000 to put it on?
It takes 25,000 to put it on. In some cases, that's offset by in-kind donations or private donations, but we typically don't know when those donations come through unless until we get closer to the event. So, in whole, it takes 25,000 to put the event on.
Okay.
As of now, have you looked at other counties since their children can participate in this from other locations? So you can reach out to other organizations for support, financial support. Do we know, is it just, I know it's not exclusive to Lowndes County participant, but do we have people from other counties that are participating?
At the moment, we don't have people from the other counties that are participating. All the students that participated last year were exclusive to the city of Columbus and Lowndes County. And that was our primary focus, was advertising to the students of the city of Columbus. And that stays open to the surrounding areas because it's hard to really delineate and filter out where they're coming from. As we advertise at the YMCA and somebody's visiting from out of, the neighboring county, they see it in the flyer, it's still open to them as well. But our target audience and the audience that we advertised it for was through the school system here in Columbus.
How many did participate? You have that number?
Yeah, we had 125 register, and we had just over 70. I think it was 71 total that showed up.
Do we have a breakdown of their budget, Jamie, what this money is used for?
Yeah.
Could you potentially give us a breakdown of the budget? Where the costs go? The 25, how do you use it?
Kenny, are you up? So Mr. Thomas, there is, I think.
Yes, good afternoon or good evening. I think we're letting us know on the call. Can y'all hear me okay?
Do I need to repeat the question?
No.
Oh.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
can you list some of the costs, like what it costs for fuel?
How your budget is used? Can you give us a breakdown of the budget?
Yeah, so a majority of the budget is spent for the actual planes themselves. KT's having some connectivity issues. But the majority of the budget is spent for either plane reservations if we have to actually fly in the plane from outside the local area, the fuel to support that, as well as potential rentals for other things. Insurance is part of it, as well as any external participation from volunteers that we need to either get into the area or outsource consultants.
Okay, council, do you have any other questions? Mayor and council? All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. I'll be contacting you concerning your request.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Katrina? Ms. Katrina? This is,
everyone.
this is
I
Ms.
apologize for not attending, but I'm still a little under the weather.
This is Contact Helpline.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we at Contact Helpline, we asked for an increase because of the need in our community to have an open line for them that call us. We service the CPR of the mental health community with Smoking College 24/7, and to assist in having individuals on our crisis line, we have to properly train them, to teach them how to connect, to empower them, to assist those individuals calling us. And our calls have doubled since last year. It has doubled each year since COVID, and we continue to assist those that call our crisis line. And my increase is asking to assist us with our training. Having trained individuals online 24/7, it costs us quite a bit. It averages $120 per person to train them properly. We're required through our accreditation to the National Council of Helpline to have trained individuals, 40 hours of training is required, and also continuing education. Our services are free with 24/7, and even during COVID, we remain open. And one of the things that assists us with that remaining open to individuals is that we have remote workers as well. So we've had an increase in calls, but I have to also increase my staff to answer those calls. We do answer for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the 988, and we answer for our local crisis line, and we have calls that come in 24/7. In order to man those lines and remain below the 9% rate of answer services, we have to have individuals on the line capable of addressing those issues, and we have individuals that call us.
Okay, you have any questions?
I have a question for Jim to make sure I'm understanding this. On the 911, and it shows what last year, and the increase and she's requesting, I see a negative there. I don't see, am I looking at the wrong thing?
She's requesting additional 2,500.
Their current budget is, we currently appropriate 4,500. Yeah, this is contact helpline,
This is contact helpline, not down home.
Yes.
and so they're asking for a $2,500 increase.
Okay, I was
To
looking at,
7,000.
I was looking at the wrong one.
25 or 45?
Currently, they get 4,500, and they're asking for 7,000.
Yes. The additional would give us 25 additional people. We do have paid staff and volunteers, but everyone's required to complete the training. And that also assists us in ensuring they have a mobile phone app as well as a iCloud phone at their home. Also for safety and for social distancing purposes, so they can work remotely as well. But they have to be trained and have capability of answering those calls.
You say y'all have seen an increase with COVID and,
Yes, sir. We have an increase, which is a good thing for us because if more people are calling for help, that means we can keep the numbers lower for suicide or something with depression. And remember, these services are free. We do not charge anyone for calling, and we're there 24/7. And also, when you have volunteers and staff working, it's important to have enough people there to answer because you can experience burnout. And then also if you have several people that are out ill, you have to have someone there for backup. We were fortunate, like I said, even during COVID, we were never closed down. We remained open. And so I see the need to have additional people online to ensure that we are there to answer those calls and to assist those in need of our services.
okay.
All right, well, thank you, Ms. Katrina. I'll be contacting you regarding the mayor and council's decision.
Thank you.
And I thank you so much, council, for your continued support throughout the years. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Thornton, this is the Boys and Girls Club.
Good afternoon, everybody. I have a representative there because of one of the weather. I'm on the Zoom call. Ms. Brittany Turner, my youth director, will be speaking on my behalf.
What company?
Boys and Girls Club.
Okay. All right, so I'm with the Boys and Girls Club, and we are asking for an increase because we have encountered a rise in monthly utilities, program expenses, food, and fuel costs. And we've also seen an increase as the community needs for the youth development for after school and for the summer. We also have, in the process of moving to the modified school calendar, we did agree to be open to service children that need assistance and those families during the intercession time and fall break. So when school is closed and school is out, the Boys and Girls Club will be open. So those are some of the reasons why we specifically asked for an increase, because while school is out and we'll be open longer hours, and so we will be able to provide food, lunch, snack, and assistance to those kids while they're in our facility. And we will also have to have workers on hand to be able to assist with the children that's there.
How many people do you serve? How many kids?
Currently, right now, we serve 150 kids, but moving into the intercession and fall break, we do anticipate additional kids signing up. So we could easily get up to 200 or more.
So the request is for an extra 13,000?
I believe so. I believe the previous was 12,000.
Well, I think we didn't give anything last year, correct?
Correct,
Because y'all were late getting it in.
correct.
So actually, it's not an increase, it's an increase from the year before, not last year, because we didn't give anything.
I'll be a 1,000 increase because typically it's 12,000, so that would be.
Right, that's what I said, that would be from.
This request is 25.
Okay.
But will that be a one-time increase? Because if it normally 12,000 and now.
We will
you've
hope to
doubled-
increase and maintain that increase. because we'll maintain our services to the community.
Okay, but do we get a breakdown of, you know, it's like going from doubling it, do we get a breakdown of where the money is going and why it increased? I mean, it's just not an increase, it's a double an increase.
So, as a part of, the community needs and the community assessment, we have a lot more students that's enrolling. And sometimes we have to put them on a wait list because we have to recruit staff members and team members just to be able to come over and assist us with the children. We're also recruiting mental health specialists to be able to come over because we see a lot of mental health challenges that we're not necessarily trained to deal with, but we want to be able to provide those services to children in the community through the Boys and Girls Club. We also see an increase with food. We do have a partnership with the school district, but when we take field trips and do different things with transportation, that's a cost. And just general operations, utility bills, everything has increased. And for some of the parents, each child that attends there is a $2,000 per child for them to be able to attend as far as operations.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And we service children 5 to 18. So it's not just, you know, targeting elementary or certain age groups. We take all of them.
We don't have any more questions for Ms. Turner? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank y'all, council. My name is Salem Gibson. I'm representing the Columbus Arts Council. We are asking for an increase in our budget because we have over doubled the programs that we offer per year with both kids, adults, and active adults. And we are looking to expand still. One of the things that happened coming out of COVID is that we noticed that programs were primarily for members only and or for individuals with a strong economic standing. And one of the things that we wanted to do is establish that art is for all, regardless of where you stand, regardless of where you live. Art is still a vital part of our community and our culture, as well as now absorbing and partnering with the TWT program. The CAC has taken that on to continue working with them. We've now taken on TWT fully and housed them. So with more programs comes more expenses, more wear and tear on the building, especially with program expenses and timing that we're open. So we're expanding our times as well. Tennessee Williams tribute. Yes, sir.
Never heard it initialized.
So you're asking, y'all asking for a $7,000?
Yes.
Any questions?
Thanks, Salem.
All right, Aaron? This is the library.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
We are asking for an additional $6,500 that will take our budget from $300,000 from the city to $306,500. As Jim was mentioning, the PERS increase, we also are going to be facing that. And thankfully, they did change it to 2% for the next several years, but we are trying to get ahead, make sure that we're ready for that so that we don't have to cut collections, because we do have a really good circulation rate for our physical items and our digital items, and then also making sure that we don't have to cut any programming that we currently offer.
Any questions?
Now, Aaron, y'all also get funding from the county,
That's
too.
correct.
Are you requesting an increase?
We are. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know what they do off the top?
Right now, they give us $375,000 for the county.
All right, thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you, Aaron.
The only other increase request we had was from the American Red Cross. Unfortunately, Ms. Nicholson couldn't be here today because of a hurricane they're preparing for. But she did want to state that they greatly appreciate the continued support of the City of Columbus. Their reasoning for asking for an increase is due to the amount of emergency assistance they provided last year. They provided $23,778 in direct disaster client assistance to 117 individuals in the city of Columbus. And I'll be forwarding that over to you.
And then the Humane Society had a request of an increase, didn't they?
Yes, the Humane Society wanted to increase theirs by $1,500 per month. I don't know if anyone's here.
I don't think so. I don't see anybody. In the letter, I don't think I have it in front of me. Jeff, do you remember? Did I show it to you?
I think I saw it.
Theirs is a contract.
So that's 18,000?
It's an $18,000 increase last year,
18,000.
from 60,000 to 78,000.
It's been that way since probably 19 or 20 years ago. It hasn't changed.
The 60 part.
Right.
Yeah.
They said they haven't received an increase since they moved into a new facility 10 years ago.
I do understand all the appropriations with everything going up, but, cost of living is also going up for our employees, and especially the ones that are working in 100-degree weather, that's barely able to feed their family. So our first priority really should be towards, making sure that we get them to a raise where they can feed their family. I mean, we want to do everything we can, but we got to look at that also.
Yeah, their request is to go from $5,000 per month to $6,500.
A total of $18,000.
Yeah, and they're also funded partly by the county as well.
Equally?
I'm not sure.
I doubt it.
I think the county may do a little bit more than we do. So that's all for appropriations?
Oh, I had one more that I just got.
Okay.
I just got today. The Lowndes County Council on Aging, last year they received 22,000. They would like to raise that to 25,000. And all they cited was just increased costs that they were having.
Now, what's the difference between the Council on Aging and the Golden Triangle area of Agency of Aging?
The Council on Aging, that's Dollar Bus and home prepared meals. Golden Triangle Area Agency on Aging, they also prepare meals, but they also do medicine as well.
Okay. Now, I noticed on them last year, I see a negative on here for $12,227. Can you tell us? It said we had 8,277, but they were paid 20,504.
Yes. I think they, as a matter of fact, when they sent in their letter, they were confused with the county, Lowndes County Council on Aging.
So that means that we overpaid them?
Yes.
So did we get it back?
I can't hear you. What did they do? I'm not sure what either one of them.
The
The Council on Aging, that's Dollar Bus and that's home prepared meals. They prepare meals for the elderly. The Golden Triangle Area Agency on Aging, they also prepare meals, but they also buy medicine for those who can't afford it.
And so one group we overpaid last year, we said?
We overpaid the
Golden Triangle Area Agency.
Agency on Aging.
So are we getting that back? I mean, because that was in the budget, then we can't overpay them and let it stay. Is that correct, Jeff?
How much did we overpay?
Legally?
You can amend the budget if the funds are available to transfer it.
Right. The overall appropriations fund was below budget. But they were overpaid. Where's the council on it? Okay. They were overpaid by $12,000 or $13,000.
Oh, wow. Well, then, did we?
So we didn't know that?
We just recently discovered it.
Pardon me?
We just recently discovered it.
Just recently
During
discovered.
this process, yes.
So, but the colleague had to bring it up, though. Neither one of you brought it up.
Councilman Jones had to bring it up. So why wasn't the council informed? Jeff?
Discuss.
So do we deduct it from,
We can,
Which would mean they get nothing.
yes. For 2 years, well, not for 2 years, for a year and I guess a half. So 1 year, the following year will be 4,000. So that means, Mr. Jeff, if we could just, they don't receive anything this year, so that will be 8,000. And then the following year, they only receive 4,000.
It doesn't put the money back in our account, but it saves us the expenditure.
It
So
was
we
just a
still have to
clerical
amend the
error.
budget for that though?
Well, it sounds
Because
like,
it's two different budgets.
from what Jim said, you still haven't spent everything in your appropriations budget, so.
No,
That's correct.
But would we not have to have approved that somehow?
yeah, we do, we need to correct it.
Do they send us a bill, or who approves that as an automatic draft, or,
No, they sent us a bill.
and it was just approved in error?
yes.
Who approved it?
I probably did.
You probably did?
I haven't looked at the invoice, but I approved.
And then it would be put on the claims docket, correct?
Yes,
And approved by the county.
So we can't ask them to give it back?
We could just not pay them this year, that's what you're
yes.
saying?
Make it
Be
simple.
the
It was a
easiest way to go
clerical
about it.
error. It wasn't anything that they did wrong.
Okay.
I'd be glad to ask them for that.
The council approved it. It's on the claims docket.
So what did we determine we're gonna do?
I think you just don't pay them until that's caught up. I don't think you ask for it back. I don't know if that's the right way to go. But so they asked for too much money, or we accidentally gave them too much money?
No, I think they sent a letter asking for their appropriation, and they were confused. I'll take it. They were confused with the other aging council
Attorney.
on aging at the top.
I see where this is going. This is getting closer and closer to a personnel issue here. We're going deep in this now. I see where it's headed. I'd like to finish this discussion in closed session.
All right. Any other questions for appropriations?
But we do know how we have corrected that, so that's not gonna continue to pay at that level, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other listings on here?
Well, we have the department heads, that are here. And you've been given, all of their requests, if you have any questions for any of them.
No, we just need to department heads.
Any questions for any department heads that are here?
Ms. Rosina,
Yes, sir.
new position, office manager.
Good evening.
How you doing? Okay, how you doing?
You just want me to explain, to ask him? Most of the department heads have an assistant. So I am requesting at this time to have some assistance. I was recently out on an illness and I didn't have any assistance. This has been going on now for the duration of my time here. The person who has kind of been helping us out is a part-time employee. She doesn't necessarily do office work, but she tries. So we really need someone in my absence, if I can't be around, or just to help out. Currently, I'm carrying 3 divisions in one department. Friendship Cemetery, care and maintenance, which that's all the city buildings, and also the Trot Convention Center. That's a lot for one department head. And I've been doing it all along. So I'm just simply asking for some assistance. Give me some off time.
How many do you have on staff at the Trotter?
Currently, right now, I have 3 part-time assistants, or 3 part-time employees, and 2 full-time.
How many do you have for care and maintenance?
1 in care and maintenance.
How many do you have for Friendship Cemetery?
Well, 2 in care and maintenance. I don't have any for friendship. I do friendship all alone. And I've been doing that for 5 years.
So is it more so just for assistant, or is there more work that has been added on to, that you feel like over the duration since you've been here? Or?
Let me explain it this way. As far as the Trotter and carrying events, I have part-time assistants for that. When it comes to helping the office, when you're dealing with professional people, when you're dealing with selling cemetery plots, when you're dealing with the cemetery funeral home people, or folks are coming in to purchase plots, you have to know what to do. You need to know how to carry those people out, show them those plots out there. There's a lot in the office to do, and if you're not trained on that, you can't do it. Currently, I am the only person who can really just go out and sell a plot, who can just go out and show a plot and sell it. So if I'm out, I either gotta come back, and in my recent illness, I had to come back on crutches to sell a plot. That gets a little difficult. So I'm just kind of asking for some help.
Have you developed a job description for that?
I have. I recently, well, I kind of sketched one out. I hadn't given it to Ms. Pat yet because we were supposed to kind of go over that, and I haven't given it to Ms. Jamie yet, but I have kind of sketched some things out. And that person needs to be someone who has a business background, someone who kind of knows how to handle business. You just can't, there's a lot over there, and I don't know that everyone knows that, but there's a lot to my department. There's a lot of office work. Oftentimes I go home and it's not done.
Now, you say you have 3 part-time assistants, so if you were to hire another full-time assistant, would you still need those 3 part-time assistants?
Well, I currently have 3 part-times, and I think, correct me if I'm right, Pat, I think we still do have 1 part-time available and a full-time position that we have not hired for. I'm asking for an additional position on top of that.
So if you hired for that full-time assistant, you would still need those other 2 that you haven't filled?
Correct. Still gotta have enough people to carry the Trotter. We're currently working to the wee hours of the morning. We're working till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. We don't shut down until 1. Sometimes by the time we get out, it's 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
So let me ask, is all these transactions paper transactions, or do you have some type of system?
We have a system. I mean, we put everything in the computer, but the hardest part, Councilman Beard, is the training, getting someone to understand how to do it. We got register books for the cemetery. We got information we have to enter on Excel spreadsheets. And if you've not been trained to do Excel, it's difficult. Anybody who knows Excel, everybody don't know how to do that. It's a difficult process.
So answer me something. This position that you're talking about creating, is this gonna be for someone that's already with you? Or we bringing in someone totally new that already know what they're doing?
I don't have anyone. I have a person who's currently working part-time. And in all honesty, that person helped me carry the whole department when I was out on illness.
Okay, but that's still not answering my question.
Okay.
Is it gonna be from someone within, or you talk about hiring someone to come in and help you?
I would like for it to be someone from within.
So if it's gonna be one of those persons, then why it's got to go up to 42? If we already got this person on payroll already, why we couldn't just add on to where she at?
Well, that person is only on part-time. That person is making the $12.50 an hour to work shows. And also this person transitioned over to helping out in the office while I wasn't there. So what I'm asking for is that person to be given one single salary, you know, to do it all, to help me do it all. I work shows too, Councilman Miggins.
Ms. Garrett, Mr. Jim, from looking at this budget now, how many new positions are we talking about creating in this budget? Can y'all give me an answer to that? How many positions are we talking about creating, not just at the convention center, PD, wherever? How many positions?
And while you're looking at that, I want to ask, how long have you been without the full-time person?
Full-time for,
You say you had one full-time position.
that full-time position is not, yeah, that, if you're talking about how many people, let me say it this way. I have one full-time person, which is Ms. Turner.
No, I'm saying you say you have a position available, one full-time and one part-time, right?
Right.
That you need to hire for.
Right.
How long have you been without those two positions?
Oh, 3 years, I guess.
Well, the one full-time due to a retirement
Okay.
this year,
This year?
yes.
And that's just maintenance.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with the office.
No, I know, I'm just asking how long you've been without those?
And the part-time, she's accurate, it's been 2 years.
2 years. So if you've been without them for 2 years, then if we created this other position, then since you've been without them for so long, then we may not need them right off.
And could you not find somebody in 2 years? I mean, we've been actively looking for somebody to fill
We
this
have been
position.
trying. Nobody will take the position.
Well, what makes us think that if we create a new position, we're all of a sudden gonna find somebody for it?
But she's trying to increase the salary, right?
Right,
Yeah, that would
that's
be
what
more
I'm
money.
But they're
getting.
not-
It's also a full-time that we.
But they're not in the budget right now, are they? Those positions?
Not the new one.
Yeah. new
The
one's
other
not in.
ones are.
Because the, Vice Mayor Mickens was asking which one, I thought there were maybe 2 that we've added so far, the, city planner and, the person for grants. I think there's only 2 new ones, right?
And he's saying we ain't got but 300 to work with? Yeah, that's 200 and something right there.
Those 2 positions.
Plus her position, the city planner and the,
Well, hers is not in there yet. Those 2 are in
No,
there,
those are.
correct?
Yeah, those are in there.
When we did,
We just added it to this one. And,
I'm currently missing a part-time person and a
completed.
full-time person.
It's just in, but it's in the budget though. I mean, it's in the numbers.
What
Hers is not. This 40 one is not in the current numbers.
What happens to, will Mr. Irby retire? If we're
He
not-
still wants to work part-time.
He's not under
I'm still a little confused. You have a part-time and a full-time position that has not been filled.
Correct.
Is it in the budget to fill those positions?
They're already there.
Okay, so those 2 are already there. You're just adding for a third
That's
situation.
correct.
So theoretically, I guess what Mr. Jones was saying, if you've been without for this long, could we not let one of those positions absorb what you're trying to do instead of hiring 2.5 people?
Well,
Since you don't, it seems like if you take 1.5 right now, since you can't fill those positions, it's gonna be hard to fill 2.5.
well, I understand what you're saying, but I don't want to continue to lose people. It's hard for us, Councilman Green. It's hard. We're working all time of the night and day hours. We're stressing the little staff we have out. These people are not getting time off. We're working 14 days straight. Recently, we've been straight through.
But are they creating a lot of overtime by working on
We're getting overtime. But fortunately, because we got the 2 missing positions, you know, it doesn't hurt us as bad. Now, if we had those 2 positions filled, yes, it would really hurt us.
But if you had the two filled, you shouldn't have to create that much overtime.
And we just can't find anybody. We've advertised.
And also, the personnel that she currently has, cleans after events because she doesn't have a cleaning staff. We've also interviewed individuals for that, but they did not accept because of the pay.
Which means those part-time people and the rest of the full-time people are cleaning. They have assumed the responsibility of a cleaning service. So it's not getting better, it's getting worse.
Councilman Mickens, that is 4 positions, I'm sorry, that's 8 positions that need to be created.
8 positions we created.
Yes.
And how many is already in the budget and how many got to be put in?
Only one of these, I think, it must have drill coordinator.
What's that? The planner and the grant administrator in the budget.
And the drill court coordinator. I think that one is in. Okay, there are 3 that are in. That is the drill court coordinator, the planner, and the grant writer. Those 3 are in the budget.
And how much is those 3 gonna cost the city?
You said the 2 earlier. You said the.
Yeah, but I don't know what the other.
It was 100 and something for the.
115.
Is there a possibility that we could have a planner versus and a grant writer? Wouldn't it be more feasible if you found someone qualified to be the planner and the grant writer?
If you could find that person, possibly. I'm not sure. It's not like they're.
But as opposed to hiring 2 people, can't we just combine that and do one, a planner and a grant writer? I mean, they both do work, but it's worth looking into.
How long we been without a planner? Have we had one since the new administration came? And we ain't had one before that.
What was that Trey guy?
So we talking years.
Yeah. George is the interim.
As I said, how long we been since we had a planner? I'll say it again.
Well, you've been here the longest, you tell us. I think you got the most seniority. How long has it been?
That's what I'm saying. It's been a while. Ever since Christina Berry left, it's been a while.
So you're saying you're for it, is what you're saying?
What?
That you're for getting the planner, because we haven't been without one.
We ain't been without one this long.
Jamie, can you, give us a list, after we leave tonight, of all the positions that's being created?
Yes.
Like, just send us a list or email it to us,
Yes.
all the positions that we're actually trying to create.
Yes, and for those 3 positions, that's $151,691.
That's salary only.
That's salary only, that's not.
And those are the only new ones that are in this current budget.
That are included in this current budget. But there are requests for 5 additional.
Oh, I know, yeah.
With benefits.
And those are all listed on this sheet, correct?
Yes,
So why you just ain't add all of them in there, since you added the other 2?
and there are 3 that are in.
And let us be over budget, then we can cut.
Well, you can still cut. You can cut, you can cut those, you can cut
Well,
current.
speaking of cuts,
No, but I'm
Mr.
just
James,
saying though, when you say everything was all right, even with those 2 positions, then we said when we first got here that, well, we looking fine, but we hadn't added in any of this stuff, the other stuff, so.
Mr. Jim, in special projects, you got $200,000, of which we only used $68,000 this year. Can that not be cut to 100?
No, we've actually spent more than that. We've spent 68,000, and then the mowing is coming out of that. Our share of the mowing is coming out of that. So the 68,000 was for the planters, and then the mowing charges are coming out of that too.
And they just started.
Yeah, that'll be 75,000 a year.
Well,
We don't know, that was just a half a year, yeah,
Well,
so we don't know if we're gonna
that's right,
continue with
because
them.
the county's gonna help pay for that.
We don't know if
Well,
we're.
for finance and administration, do we still need, is there any way we can cut $100,000 from that? Do we still need that amount in there? We're trying to shift money so the city can benefit.
No, I'm fine with you. If you want to cut that, you can cut it. But just remember that when somebody says, well, where are we going to get the money to pay for that? It ain't going to be there. That's really what it's for, special things that came up during the year. If we didn't have that in there, we would not have done the planters, and we would not have outsourced the mowing. So
And
it's,
some of these grants that we're looking at always have to have matching dollars too, so.
that's correct.
Not always, but they usually have to have a 20% match.
You know, next year, the, most of that was gonna go towards the new pickup trucks that many of the departments are requesting.
So if we're going to get the pickup truck, why they still listed?
I didn't hear what you said.
They're listed as not, they're not in the budget, so how,
Yeah,
you
they're
got
on
Public
the-
Works
they're on-
asking for
they're on
trucks, you
this
got
list
the
here.
garage asking for trucks, but they're not in the budget, so will it definitely come out of that 200,000 next year?
It won't come out of it this year, next year.
So we can basically say that they'll be getting their trucks.
If that's what we decide to use that special project money for, yes. That's what I would have recommended it for.
So we can't, we'll be able to cut some money from it if we can use it for that and just go ahead and put it in that area, right?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Like if you're saying it potentially can be used for that, so that means it can be cut.
If it's
So
gonna
we
be
should
used, it
already-
can't be cut.
So we should already budget it for the trucks if we're gonna,
You're
instead
gonna
of
do the
saying we
trucks.
might use it for that, then why not just budget it for the trucks?
Well, that's what they're on, I think they're on here. On your list, look at. And I don't know what's good, you know, we have things like, we have a
So-
$60,000 crane for the bridge repair that we have to cover next year. It's not in any budget anymore.
So we're saying that 200,000 for something that might come up. So obviously we already know that the trucks are coming up, so you're saying that you might use it on that then, so we should have just said $200,000 for trucks instead of saying something that might come up if we already know that that's what we're gonna use it for.
That's if you approve the trucks.
Right.
If you don't approve the trucks, it could be used for something else. I mean.
Yeah, if you want to take it out of there, then you don't have any kind of reserves, you'll just go buy the trucks. Or, you know, and then as you're going through your year, you're looking at how you're doing in your general fund.
Jim, I have a question for
It
you.
just seems like we putting money to the side for something that we know we're already gonna get, instead of saying we're gonna get these, if that's what you're already planning on. Because if you wasn't already planning on maybe using it, then we wouldn't have said it tonight.
He just said that that was an area we could potentially get it if we
Yeah,
choose to get the trucks.
There's other things that come up, so for example, there's nowhere in the budget where there's a crane for the bridge repair, and now we're on hook for a crane for the bridge repair. So things come up during the year that we need to have special project funds for. It's just I mean.
A rainy day fund.
It clearly is, and, you know, it's just, I mean, like I said, this year we're doing the
Flower beds and the bypass.
planters and I'm not sure, I'd have to check, see what else is coming out of there.
Bypass mowing,
What's that?
the bypass mowing.
Yeah, but I think there's something else coming out there too.
Jim, I have a question for you. Speaking of trucks, equipment, and how much money we have in the ARPA fund?
In the ARPA fund,
Yeah.
we have a little over $3 million in the ARPA fund.
What's the plan for that money? Can we not, some of these trucks and equipment that these departments need, why can't we take it from the opera fund and buy this stuff, and it would lessen what you have to pull out of the general fund? Wouldn't that make more sense? So, and with the opera money, don't we have a time limit that we have to plan and spend it?
Correct, yes, we do.
So have we done that? Have we?
Right
do we
now,
know
that
what we
$3
got?
million is allocated towards the watershed programs.
Well, let me ask a question, and.
But it doesn't have to be.
Excuse me if I sound ignorant on it, but how could our city need so much equipment that is necessary to run the city, and we would take $3 million for a watershed, and I'm all for watersheds and drainage, but we've had this problem 100 years. So I think it's up to administration and the council to make sure that we appropriately spend this money. because we won't be getting it again. And we spend it correctly, isn't there a match on it?
It's for Brickyard, and it was at 15th Street, that's your project. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact number, but that money is already allocated.
Because it ain't gonna take 3 years.
We get it matched if we use it for those things. We get it matched 1-to-1 from the state if we use it for those types of projects. If we buy trucks with it, it's gone. And then you don't get the match.
Well, we definitely couldn't clamp some of these ditches. Because with watershed, I mean, you build watersheds, but the water has nowhere to drain it.
Councilwoman Stewart, you're absolutely right. You can use the way we applied for the ARPA funds, they can be used for any city services.
And I keep hearing that, and we keep trying to figure out how we're going to buy the equipment that we need to run this city. I mean, now, a couple of weeks ago, I came here, stayed here all day to all of the department heads for things that they were requesting to do their job. We want the grass cut, we want the trees cut, we want the fire department to be up to par, we want the police department to have radars and scanners. Can we take that money from opera as opposed to digging a watershed as a hole, digging a hole for water to go in and use it to improve things in the city?
If the city council decides to rescind their approval of the watershed and use it for something else, you're fully capable of doing that.
So let me ask you another question, and this for the citizens sitting out there. Let's say we take that money and we use it for the watershed. What good would that do if you don't have anything to run this city with? Does that make sense? You got a watershed, but you don't have equipment.
I think here's the rationale from what we've been using on it, is that the ARPA money that we received, the state of Mississippi received, we have major infrastructure issues in this town, which the watershed and flooding money that we're trying to put into these areas, and people's whose yards flood every time it rains, and primarily in our poorest neighborhoods in the city. If we had put all of our money and all the county's money into it, we probably could have done it all then. But we've held on to $3 million and we've turned it in for 2 projects that we now have matching from. Everything else we've spent in ARPA now is gone. You will not get it matched. If you have an opportunity to double your money on a long-term issue that the city has been suffering from, like you said, forever, and you can parlay that money into more money from the federal government, why would you not do it?
Well, that's not what I read and understand, because like, even with the opera money, I would say take like $150,000 for some of these crashed in culverts and clean out these ditches. That opera money can be used for that.
And I think it'll be matched if we did clean the ditches. Some ditches. I still think that some of the ditches are a main problem. I mean, that's just me talking to Kevin and all that. I think cleaning out some of these ditches would
So
help
if the council decides to take the ARPA money and spend it without any match, what does that do with the proposals that we've sent into Jackson for these projects? It goes away? Okay. Well, I would think that you would want to explain it to the citizens in those wards that are going to miss out on that before we do it to buy new trucks, when we can potentially buy them in the year depending on how we're doing financially. We're leasing those trucks.
With cleaning out ditches though, can that not be matched?
I understand it could be.
Right.
And that's my understanding, because when it first started out with opera, there's so many restrictions on it that it was pretty much nothing you can do. But they have constantly changed and revised that. So you can do things in the poor areas in communities.
You can, but what you need what we need to do, and I thought we had gone through this several times, was what is going to be the most effective for those neighborhoods to try to fix the watershed issues or clean a ditch that we're going to have to clean again. You know, what's going to be the biggest long-term possibility for us and for us to be able to leverage it.
So have we identified any more projects besides the 2 that we've already done?
We don't have money to do them yet. So those are the two that we've requested, and we've been awarded the match.
But those
Well,
two are
that's
not
even
even
$1
$3
million.
million, right?
So what about the other two?
No,
What about-
that's all of it.
No,
Ms.
the two
Stewart,
projects
The
that we
project for,
approved, yeah.
the project for, Brickyard probably was only
Just
675.
take the.
And my project.
I mean, we're not saying that we're gonna do that, so don't speak before we even, that's just stuff, that's what we're sitting here trying to come up with compromising to see how
Well,
we
this
can
has come
benefit
up
everybody.
110 times.
Well,
and
for Ms. Stewart, your question was, can you
111
use
times,
that
you might
money?
get it right.
My opinion has been
Well, you've
all
had this stuff
along,
for
we're
2 weeks.
fixing
You
to
didn't
take
have to wait till the day
$400,000 out of our
We have to
paving
wait till the day to
project,
start with.
out of our paving project to pay for a Fifth
Well, to be honest, this
Avenue,
shit don't make
which is
sense.
a 80-20 grant, am I not mistaken? Isn't that a
2 weeks to
20,
pay up your asking
80-20?
questions.
So
That's
we're
what
gonna,
doing
our
now.
20% is
should've come up and worked something out
$400,000.
beforehand.
I would say if you
We're
took
doing
it out
it
of
right now.
ARPA, you're leveraging that
there a
money
reason for that?
20 to 80, not 50 to
Ask Lester,
50.
he's asking.
That's a
questions
whole lot
too.
better. And then you pay $400,000 worth of roads.
Can't be
To
mad
me,
because
I'm
people
with
don't
you on
play
that. I
it.
think it could be used a whole lot wiser
Clearly, I'm not.
than pouring a concrete ditch somewhere.
Clearly, you take care of you and I'll take care of me.
I'm definitely taking, well, stay out of my business.
I know your business, eh?
That's what you
Excuse me, we in a meeting, excuse me. We in a meeting.
We have so many discussions, I can't hear Jim. Okay.
I mean, there are additional projects beyond just, the equipment that people wanted. We're probably looking at, and I'm not sure, Jamie, maybe you know the number better than I do, but the roof for the police department and strip center were patched, and they continue to leak.
It's about $750,000.
$750,000.
It's
just
over
for-
$1 million for those roads, yeah.
Yeah.
And can we take money and why would you build a watershed in all of your city buildings that's gonna rot because it's raining inside? I don't understand it.
Because you can't get the match to fix the ceiling.
So.
Why would you not want to,
understand-
why would you not want to double your money on something that is a major issue in our city? Why would you not?
Everything we got, Mayor, is amazing.
Not like flooding and watershed. We're 40% in a flood
So
zone.
has
Clean up
any
the
other
ditches you
areas
have
been
left good.
identified besides the two areas
Yes.
that's already, so why haven't they been presented?
Because there's no money to try to get those matched.
How not? If we got $3 million set aside and we have not even touched a million, just a
The two
million.
that y'all approved,
Was $675,000 for the Brickyard, and his project was no more than $275,000.
No, mine wasn't 275.
So we ain't even touched a million of that money.
145, I think it was.
Now, the match that we got from MDEQ, those two projects require both our 3 million and the match.
No,
I'm
we
not
had-
sure how
we
they
had-
break down.
We hadn't even approved
all
$3
this stuff
million
that was in there.
worth
We
of
only
projects.
approved just
Those
two
are the
projects.
you just
projects.
approved to
Yeah.
get to apply for those.
Those are the
And
two
we've been
projects that were
awarded those.
approved by MDEQ. Brickyard and North something, 15th Street or something.
15th Street.
And then the one project that we did over here on Second was part of it as well.
So, but the long-winded answer to your question is that the way we accepted the ARPA money, we can use it for any purpose, any city government services. So we can use it for anything we want. It's the council's decision,
And mayors at this
and the
time.
mayor's decision, obviously.
Let's move on. IT, maintenance and support, $100,000. Can we get an explanation what's all as well as,
What about the interest money from the $3 million? We drawing interest on that, right? Can we use that money to, are we putting it,
$35,000?
well, we putting that back in the general funds, all right? Are we using it?
If it's coming off the money, put it in off the budget.
If that could be used.
The interest? No, that just is going into the general.
It's just going into the
General
general
fund.
fund, and that's what you accounted for on that,
Yes.
that $200,000.
Correct.
So as you know, we will be migrating over to the Office 365, which is cloud-based. A lot of the software that the department heads are currently using is becoming obsolete. So we have to switch them over to cloud-based as well, which implements a lot more money for most of the departments. A lot of it is to protect their information as well as transmitting information back and forth between each department. So that includes also well as the crime lab. They have a big jump in cost because everything they have is becoming obsolete. And they have some new tools down there that also needs new software and new maintenance. Maintenance is also becoming a lot more frequent. It's not yearly anymore, it's most of the time quarterly. So again, we've been working really hard to try to figure out how to make that smaller, but it's not a choice right now.
So if you're not awarded, then how would you be able to function?
We won't. We will not. Most of the departments won't be able to function.
So is this not a necessity?
It is a necessity.
Yeah, that, the migration to Office 365 is in the budget already.
But it's already in. Are you talking about that?
He's talking about the first
Talking
line,
about
there, maintenance and support of
maintenance and
$100,000.
support $100,000. So
That's
what
a
you
crime lab and,
You
that's.
got $115,000
15
for crime.
down, 75.
So you're looking at $215,000 for maintenance.
Is that what that is?
But they just said Office 365 is already included in your budget.
It should be.
And this computer's.
It's already in this year's budget.
Yes. Yes.
So then maintenance and support is not
So
the
there
three,
won't be
so
that.
that's not,
There won't be
so what else
included.
is that then if it's not the 360?
You said it again?
If it's not the office, what else is that? If it's
It's
already in
gonna
this
be all
private
other
budget?
software and maintenance for all other departments. So the landfill software that I got asked about a couple weeks ago from Councilwoman DeChico, ADSI, that's a part of it. It is cloud-based. We have our storage that we'll be using. Our new security system for ESET will be involved. All those are a part of that maintenance and software.
ClearGov.
Right, and ClearGov.
Okay, so now let me get some clarity, because we got added $200,000, Office 365 migration to cloud and security malware. They're saying that's already been added. But then we got $100,000 that has not been added, and I'm asking what's that, and you basically saying it's the same as that thing.
So the $100,000 is one of my capital projects. That's a part of the 125 that we're asking and we're requesting for. That's the Office 365. Everything else is just software that is no longer working for the departments that is transitioning over to the cloud with the migration of Office 365. So everybody's software is about 15, 20 years old. And they will no longer be able to use it on Office 365. So we would have to give them the cloud version of that software so that it is functionable.
You can't function in Mayberry.
No, unfortunately.
We with Mayberry, buddy, we won't have this problem. So the
Where's Barney?
$100,000 that she got originally, what was the budget for her department originally? So she asked for that 365 to be put in this year's budget. Why did she not ask for the $100,000 must-have?
She did. That's why it's on this one.
No, she's asking for an additional. Why wasn't that in the original budget? What I'm asking, if this is a must, absolutely have to have.
Well, it wasn't in FY '23 because of course we didn't have Office 365. But she asked for Office 365 and the supporting software to go with it for FY '24.
Well, that's why y'all received all these worksheets and all this information from them, was that they had gotten the budget to the point where we needed to start making changes. These were the things we should have been calling in about all week and stuff to, if we were gonna add that in. When we talked to her, the 200,000 was the thing that we thought we could add in, correct? And then then he started, because we thought that was the most urgent.
Right.
And then, so he worked out through the budget, and that when he came up with everything, there was 300,000 left. That's why y'all got all these lists of different things from the requests of the different departments for y'all to come in and take away or add. That's what this is for. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. When I get somebody, the expert in saying this is an absolute must, and this is a
Well, that's what you hired me
negotiating
for.
right here.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, I didn't mean to say that against you. I just meant somebody help me out here. This almost seems like well, you gotta have that next.
And that's what, and if that's the case, if that's what we determined, then that comes out of the 300,000 that's left.
I
get what y'all saying, but what I'm saying is this a duplication? Because you're basically saying you already included what she just said that she needs.
No, what she's saying is, what we currently, all the different current systems that we have right now, if we get Office 365, which we need, those current systems will not be supported unless we upgrade those.
Once you switch over to 365, and the
So
rest of the
according to
stuff.
this, y'all already did that.
No, the only thing they did was bought the 365.
Then the software.
And the security
for all
malware.
the departments to use Office 365 is, that's the support and maintenance that she's asking.
Right.
That's the other 100,000.
They've already added.
Not the same.
They've already bought 365 and the security and malware program for 365, correct?
That's a part of the maintenance and support. That is also a part of it.
It hasn't already been bought. Those
No.
things have not been bought.
Yes, they haven't been bought.
I'm saying we gave you the money in the last budget. You said, I mean, this year's budget.
No.
So that's what we confused
No.
at then. You
No,
saying
this
that
is
we
all
already
new.
gave it to you.
I wasn't here last year, so this is all new.
No, not last year, but I'm just saying, when you came in, what software did you just buy? When you came in front of us and asked us for something?
I haven't asked for anything.
Or what Mr. Chico was talking about?
That was the landfill software.
No,
that was
she
the
was,
landfill.
no, that was just a question about something that was on the docket. Software, what does this software do? What is it for? It
So-
wasn't a purchase. It
So
wasn't-
365 is coming out of the new budget?
Right.
Okay, that's what we were,
Yeah.
he was asking, yeah.
Let's not put y'all studio. That's definitely not. So she don't need this.
You need a
Yeah,
lot
she
of
do
money.
need that.
She does need it, but it's just not in there yet.
Right. The 365 is gonna be bought out of the $100,000 that she asking for.
He put that in the budget.
It's in the budget.
Oh, you already got it
That's
in the
what I'm
budget?
saying.
Okay, so this is not additional, that's what he said. No, it's not in last year's budget
No.
of 2020, right,
It's
it's
in
already
this.
been
Not anything
included,
last
yeah.
year.
It's in this.
What we're trying to put in 24.
Right.
So what she's saying is,
So what she's asking for on this separate sheet is already in the budget, is what he's saying.
no.
No.
It's not in the budget.
What she's asking for here
Right.
is additional to the Office 365.
So the only thing that's already in the budget is the 365 and the malware then?
Yes.
Right.
So what is this $100,000 for?
Everybody, all the other departments' software upgrades.
She asked for the car, and we said, okay, and now she's asking for the gas, because otherwise she's gonna have the cars not
So
going.
why ask for the car without the gas?
She didn't know, she did not know to ask, what the problem is.
I
She didn't
got
know
you.
not to ask.
She did ask for it, but what happened was, we had to fit all of this in the budget. So we need you to tell us what you want.
I mean,
So
we
we
got to
need-
give it to her. If we can't, what we spending 200,000 for if it ain't gonna work without the other 100,000? That's what I'm saying. That was crazy for to even split it up like that. I don't know who did it, but that's just my opinion. I'm
Well,
sorry.
that's the first time I've heard that the other wouldn't work without it. That's the first time I've heard that. I don't know about y'all.
Well, if you buy
She has mentioned.
Office 365, new equipment, and everybody else got 20-year equipment, how could it work with the new equipment? Impossible.
I don't know. I'm not an IT expert.
Yeah, some software do
That's
work
why
like
we-
that though, but,
But we went a whole long time without her. I'm just thankful we finally got her.
okay.
All right, so we just spent 100,000, what's next?
Now you spent $3.
Just that fast.
It look like she need 302.5, right? Cause she need the computers
She
and the
need
crime
the
lab
crime lab
maintenance,
maintenance
so
too.
she
She need
need
another
302,000.
115,000.
Miss Becky, we hadn't agreed on.
What's your 100? Come on, Claudette. What's your
Come on.
115 for?
You wanna,
I'll break it down for you. I didn't bring any of my paperwork, sorry, wasn't planning on this. But, service and maintenance has always been taken care of from the IT department. We have 3 systems now, 3 GCMS systems. Service contracts need to be maintained on each one. That cost is anywhere from $11,000 to $12,000 per system. So that is part of that. Let's see, Justice Tracks is what we use to function. That is gonna be obsolete come January of 2024. We won't be able to do anything. So cloud-based is what we're gonna try to go to. 4A,
does anything that she's getting offset this 115 that you're asking for? Nothing, okay.
And does anything that the county's supposed to be giving for the maintenance for those machines offset?
that's not in the MOU. They bought it, we maintain it.
So you need these, right?
I need this. It needs to
So,
happen.
so realistically, out of that 115, what is an absolute must we're gonna
All
shut
of
down
it.
if we don't have?
All of it. We just upgraded a computer that was built in 2001. I just got a new computer this year to function with an instrument that I use. Like, we are behind the times in the lab. Like everything, like she said, obsolete, it's gonna become obsolete. Like the system we use to maintain the entire police department's evidence will be obsolete come January 2024.
Okay.
You want me to break down everything else? Or is that enough?
I think that's enough about it.
My bad.
You're scared of enough.
We're expensive. Forensic science is expensive. It's not something you can just not pay for.
All of this will help you be more efficient, to do more work, to create more income, revenue.
Well, I need more people to create more revenue. But right now, if we don't upgrade Justice Tracks, if Justice Tracks goes down, we can't complete a report. We can't enter evidence. We can't bring those agencies in and do any of their, hey, we would like this case done. We can't do any of that. What else is there? Like if we don't have the service contracts with, for the GCMS, if it goes down, I can only fix it so much. So then all these systems that we just bought, they'll just be paperweights.
Okay.
And this is a one-time cost? I mean, obviously, it's not a one-time forever, but if we spent this money now, you're good for a
No.
while?
Well,
Or
care
this
and
is like
maintenance.
ongoing every year?
This is-
we supposed to spend
this is annual.
$115,000?
Yeah,
This
maintenance
is annual.
$115,000 annual?
It might go up.
So is the revenue that we're bringing in, is it, cause I mean, we was talking about how much revenue you was bringing in, would this offset any of this?
Some. I mean, it's just me right now. I can only do so much. She's in training
She can't touch that for a year, right?
for a year.
Yeah.
So it's just me doing crime scenes, drugs, cell phones, evidence intake over there, helping with property and evidence while she's in training.
Okay.
No problem. Here if you have any more questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, I heard that.
She's budgeted for 70,000.
For income.
For income next year.
Can I make a statement to that? That was with one GCMS,
No,
and now we have three.
don't bring it up.
But you need people.
You do need people.
Yeah, you gotta have people.
But realistically, we still should be more than, if you got 3 machines in, realistically, you should still be able to process more.
3 people, including myself, that'd be 4, all drug chemists with 3 systems, we should be able to increase from 70,000.
To what?
I can't give you a number right now.
70 times 3?
Sure.
But this would be people that
But
would
then
come
we
in
still gotta pay these
certified.
people.
Because don't they can't touch that for a year, right? How does that work?
All of them have to be a year before they can.
You have to go through a period of training. If you are coming in as a trainee, you have to go through a period of training. It's anywhere from 6 to 9 months or to a year. It depends on how well they're learning the information.
So we have to spend more money and hire an experienced person.
If you want to hire an experienced person, you're gonna have to pay. Like, we just lost a person who was experienced because he got to make $16,000 more than what he's making here by going somewhere else. So we are severely underpaid.
Where did he go?
Where'd he go? The state lab.
Appreciate you, Claudia.
No problem.
And just to throw out there, because we don't know anything for sure yet, but there may be some ways for us to partner with the state on the lab, which could address some of these issues.
Any other questions you have for any of the department heads? Any of their requests? Give the department heads. Department heads, do you have anything you want to say? Okay, let's go.
If I'm in order, I just want to ask a question. When I received my budget for this year in ClearGov, the one that I received, it looks like I didn't make any requests. And when I went into ClearGov, most of the stuff that I requested was denied. So my question is, did you actually see my request? Because I don't know.
Worker, overtime, backhoe, sports coordinator, director of programs.
And
Well, that's all we have on here.
What about the capital outlay?
The capital what?
Outlay.
And what's that?
Assets to be capitalized.
How much is that?
Well, in ClearGov, what I put in was 65.
65?
So Jamie, Jim? I
Nope.
have exactly 2,500, and if I missed up, I do apologize, but I remember when we met, you said, you needed a backhoe, but you could probably find a used one for 20,000, and so that's why I put down 20,000.
And then we was gonna do a backhoe, and the backhoe, as I checked with Casey, is gonna be about 40 for a mini backhoe, and also said, I think, Mary, you were present at the meeting, that I need a sprayer that was 6,000. But I guess what I'm saying is that I did put this in ClearGov, and I think that, I'm just saying that there may be a way that you can go back and cut somewhere else, but I'm just saying that I don't think I've been given an opportunity to come back and say, well, hell, let's take care of this, let's take care of that. So I'm just simply saying that when I look in ClearGov, the only thing that I see is denials.
The council does have the backhoe and the sprayer. That is on it, they have the backhoe and the sprayer.
Just on that one, yeah, that's the most updated. They've got it on this one. Did you get this one?
No, but they don't.
I only have this one right here.
It's on this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jim, the 3% raise for the employees, that's not in here either.
What?
3% raise?
That would be,
No
that would,
reason.
that would be the 300,000 basically, right?
It would be 300,000, it's 100,000 per person.
So, but we don't have it in that budget, right? And we don't have it on the request sheet either.
We have a lot of requests.
No, I'm saying, is it on, it's on this request sheet? Okay.
I would counsel that if you were going to use any funds, so if you were going to use ARPA funds for anything, I would recommend that you use it for one-time purchases. So for example, capital items, because if you use it for salaries, then you're building it in, and then
You gotta maintain it.
you gotta maintain it over the years. But if you were, for single one-time purchases, it's an alternative.
So you say we have a surplus of how much?
Pardon?
You have a surplus of how much?
300,000.
Right now, we have all the department heads in here that has heard that IT needs 100,000 and Claudette needs 115,000, so we only have, what, 95 to work with?
Unless you use the ARPA money to pay for the equipment, and you use the $300,000 surplus.
We might could check travel, we might could pull from our travel. How much is in our travel this year? 40,000? Might could pull from travel.
That's not even gonna put a pinch in.
Might get you a truck.
That ain't gonna pinch it.
Every penny
All right,
counts.
so we got everything we need to look at to add to.
Well, here's Casey.
Oh, Case, come on up. Tell us about that $250,000 tractor.
Y'all taking care of equipment. I did have a couple of key people that I'm trying to keep around and not lose. And I did have one of my foremen, concrete foremen, retired this year. So I do have a concrete finisher that I want to take that position and try to accommodate these guys that I'm trying to get some extra pay for. Try to keep them. which was $30,596.80. That was the annual rate, that position was carried.
So let me make sure I understand. You have this position, you just wanna take it and switch it over to someone else and not create a new position?
No, that's right. And it's not someone, but I'm gonna spread it out between, I have maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people.
So you will eliminate a position
Yes,
and take the money for that position that you have been budgeted for and spread it among
yes,
2 or 3 other people?
yes.
Okay.
Let's not forget, we've got to vote on the meal tonight.
But you don't need, the people on the concrete?
The guys that I have on there now can manage the job that we are doing. But that position, which was a foreman position, I don't need a foreman over that crew, which I got, concrete finishers, foreman, goes hand in hand.
Question, Mr. Casey.
Yes.
You got on here, add 30,000 for paint, floors, and tables. And you already had it budgeted 10,000, of which you still got 6,000 left. Why the major increase in what?
Because I'm trying to, do some cosmetics around that department, Councilman. You've been down there, it looks, it's not, it looks rough. So with the cosmetic, gonna take about another 20, I asked for an additional 20,000 to try to get the painting and all the other cosmetics around that facility looking up to standard.
And don't forget your tractor with your sidearm.
Yes,
Might as well throw that out there now while we're at it.
Well, that's part of the equipment
Already
that-
on the sheet.
That should be already in there.
Link next. Sasha.
Hello. I'm requesting, I don't think it's in the budget, but $10,000 in my professional budget for professional fees, and this would be for grass cutting for code enforcement, which is, it's beneficial to the city as a whole and my department. With the 250 or less lots that we're taking on, we're having an increase in our workload. And we use Public Work, to cut the grass, and they are pretty much busy doing things within their department, as you can see. So we're consistently getting complaints about grass, and we're bagged up. So I think it would be beneficial if we can get some extra help in cutting the grass.
Now, when you say extra help, you're talking about for the works department, or you talking about privatizing this to get somebody?
Yeah, private contractors come in, cut our 250 or less lot.
And $10,000 will cover that?
But most of it.
Probably help.
If we go out and spend money that we're not getting back, because we're definitely not getting it back. We put a lien on these properties, but 9 times out of 10, we don't get it back.
We don't get it back, but I mean, it would ensure that,
So that's the reason why, Public Works doing it, it's costing us labor, but Public Works, but it's not costing us money out of,
right.
to go out and hire somebody to do it.
Right. Yeah, but we really need it. Like I said, we're consistently having overgrown lots and taking on a lot now. And, they're bagged up, and I'm sending over work orders, but the complaints are steady coming in, and we do need to get the grass cut.
So a question, you said you're trying to add 10,000?
To the budget for
professional
private,
service?
yeah, private
So
contract.
under your professional services, you will budget 15,000, of which it says you use none of it.
We actually have used it, I think it's under, if I'm not mistaken, on another line item. That's for like our professional fees for like legal services. We've used a good bit of it.
Asbestos testing.
Uh-huh.
Asbestos testing, you got 25,000 budget, of which you use 20,000. So what's the 15,000 been used for?
I don't have my budget before me, but it's on another line. Could you?
Everything that you stated, got it, unless professional service, legal, dilapidated housing.
For the signs purchased out of that?
Okay, there are
Turn the air conditioning
there's
off.
600,
Up here, it feels like it.
600, 007.
I'm looking at 000.
Okay, it's 15,000. But if you look under there, you see that at this point, she's about at 12,000.
Get me here, that's no more, I bet you. Bet you I'll be gone.
So she's about at 12,000.
That woman goes.
Yeah, quick. Oh, turn it back on.
With another one for this.
Well, at least you act less than anybody else.
That's right. That $100,000 hit that or no.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Well, I was asking for a few things, like an AC machine, because the one we have is out of date. They've come up with a new Freon, and what we have won't work. And they had a 134Y, so we need a 123Y machine. And it's about $10,000 for this machine. This costs us a new Freon. And if we don't have it, we're gonna have to send it out to other people to work on it. And tire machines and jacks and stuff like that. We have a big jack to pick up those big trucks and stuff, and right now I'm kind of afraid of it because it's bent, and I'm worried about safety for my guys, so that's why we put in for the jack. And also the trucks, we put in for the trucks because we need four-wheel drives to get to the landfill, so we have to go out there and work on a lot of the vehicles, the equipment and stuff, and the roads are so bad we can't get. Sometimes I had to borrow Mr. Casey's four-wheel drive just to get out there. Also, the truck that my assistant have, the engine is bad, the transmission is bad, the rear end is bad, and he just rides around on prayer. And so that's why I was asking for what, the stuff that we really need, and that's all.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
I just got a text, Chief Daughtry is on Zoom, if anybody has any questions for the chief.
Yeah. Chief, NOLA cameras. Can someone explain about the NOLA cameras and what is the difference between these cameras and the cameras that Mr. Dillon has put up? And there's a major price difference in the cameras that Mr. Dillon has put up and the cameras that you're referring to.
Well, Project NOLA is a system that is very familiar. When we went to Hattiesburg, we had an opportunity to see the Project NOLA system in Hattiesburg. I know the COO, city attorney, and others that were there had an opportunity to see it. I used it in Natchez and a lot of other cities around here using it. It's based out of New Orleans. It's a 24-hour monitoring company. In the event we were to need something, we can call them and they can send us the video pretty much immediately. These cameras also, for an additional, I think $125, have what they call gunshot recognition. So in the event, we have some of these cameras that are posted in different areas. If they were to hear a gunshot, that camera would go towards that decibel and then lock in on anything moving. So we'd be able to watch if somebody was to shoot, we'd track them as well. It's been very efficient. When I used it before, I know Chief Ward has used it in Macomb, and Hattiesburg has offered, if anytime or go, we can definitely go there, or we can go to Project NOLA and they can actually give us a tour of what they have. I got the idea from Hattiesburg because they started off with 10 cameras, and then they just started adding on every year after that. I can't explain, I know these are a lot cheaper. I can't explain the price difference. I think that's something Mr. Joe has to answer. But I do know that these are very reliable, and they have withstanding tests through major cities in the state of Mississippi and across the country.
So you're looking
I'm
at,
trying to get a good steward of taxpayers down, trying to get us more bang for our buck.
so you're looking at 10 cameras for $12,000 with a 24-hour monitoring system.
Sir.
Mr. Dillon.
With the 24-hour surveillance for that $12,000 a month, $1,000 for the camera. Chief?
Yes, sir. The camera itself is like $600 and some change, and then there's a annual monitoring, which is like $2 something per camera. And then, like, so next year when we purchase more cameras, we won't have to worry about that. We'll just purchase the camera and the monitor, that monitoring. But then the camera cost will start falling off, and we get our camera number and stuff, and we just pay for the monitor.
So is the trick that you're fixing to send is that it costs $5,000 to put this camera up, or who puts the camera up?
There are different companies that are on state contract that we can go out, or we can also put bids out to get them to put up.
Any idea what that runs?
I don't, but I want to say it was less than, I know it's less than $1,000. I do know that. But I don't quote me on it right now, but I will find out for you, and I'll have the answer for you.
Mr. Dillon, how much are your cameras? How much were those cameras that we purchased?
The cameras that we're putting up now have 3 cameras per box. So when we put up a location, it's looking in 3 directions. So we never put up 1, we always put up 3. And so it's all built into that one box. So a box installed now, since we use Columbus Light and Water and they hook into their power, runs about $6,000 for a 3-camera box. But you can't get them one at a time. We combine 3 so you can see all directions, but then also to save the money. Because, you know, when we first started designing these a couple of years ago, we picked the streets, then it was very difficult to say, just look north and don't look the other directions. So they run about $6,000. Columbus Light and Water installs them for us, and then they tie into their electric. We always use a street light, a street that has a pole that has a street light on it, so we tie into that. And then that also includes our communications that we use in AT&T FirstNet for our communications that then sends. The way these cameras work is they record. I don't want to go into a lot of technical details to tell bad guys how they work, but they're recording continuously.
But who's monitoring what they're recording?
Nobody monitors them now because at the time that we had put these in and you know still put them in, it was a question of lack of personnel. The way the system works now is if there's an incident, then the police department contacts me and I go download the video while they're out in the field and then send it to them. We've done
So
it.
question, if we would go with these NOLA cameras, which it sounds like we need to because they're a whole lot cheaper and it sounds like they're more productive because you got a 24-hour person monitoring them.
Right.
Are we able to sell back those cameras?
Well, we wouldn't have to sell them back. I mean, well, the first answer is no. No, sir, we couldn't sell them back because those cameras are now 2.5 years old or so, and so they're used equipment. But I did talk to the chief. I went to Hattiesburg also and saw the system down there and asked the chief if NOLA would be able to monitor our existing cameras, and he said that they would if we gave them access to it, which is easy to do. The only thing we would have to do would be to get hardwired communications to them, because right now we're using wireless,
and they require a hard line, which is through cable or fiber, and we've talked to the local companies, and they're ready. It passes every poll, so we can do that. The only reason we didn't do it now is because there was no need for, we didn't have any personnel. The PD didn't have the personnel to monitor it. But that's a long answer to say, yes, sir. Right, Chief, that we...
If I may also, if our detectives can also have access, we would have a room where our detectives, I know when I first got here, the board wanted us to have a real-time crime center. And we're working towards that, but we're gonna have to eat that elephant one bite at a time. But we will be able to have a room designated just for our detectives. If they're working a case in a particular area, they can go back and pull the footage if they're looking for something in particular. These cameras also have, you can add license plate readers to them as well. And there's a lot of other safety features and features that will help us that I would love to discuss. Just like Joe said, we really don't want to get too much in detail over, because I don't want the bad guys to know what everything that it does. But I think it will be very beneficial for the city, and I think that I know that we will get more for our money at a less cost.
But it is compatible, Councilman. The money that you've spent and with what the systems you've got out there now would not go to waste. I mean, it would be usable. Isn't that what you understood too, Chief?
But those won't be in like
the cameras that we have now they believe can be integrated, but then there are also some partnering. They have some capabilities that I can get with business owners and churches and stuff in the city that can, if they buy into it as well, that we, not only the cameras that we purchase, but other cameras that business owners purchase can be a part of our crime fighting tool. And it just helps us to get more cameras out there without cost. The other thing is, what we did in Natchez, we had some churches who had Bible study at night and they wanted a camera. So they were able to purchase their camera, and whoever at the church had access to view their camera, but they also gave it to the police department. So we had additional cameras that the public can also purchase for Project Nova that I can set up. So we can have some businesses that might want to purchase some cameras to help us offset, to also add security to our city.
Jim, can we take opera money and buy these cameras?
Yes.
There's probably some money in the the travel budget we could take out. We could take out 12,000 of the travel budget to pay for it.
Speaking of travel, what about that new,
You gonna get that travel budget?
The trip to the one
thing he had.
Matter of fact, there's AT&T.
Take it out of ARPA for the travel budget.
to leave out the state?
You gonna get the travel budget.
Do the cameras, do the police department have access to them? Now, I know you can look up and send them what they need, but do they have access to the?
Yes, sir.
They do?
Yes, sir. The detective division.
They do have.
Oh, the millage? Yeah. All right, we still have the resolution for the millage.
All right, let's do it.
Jim, do you want to explain it real quick, or?
Sure, I'm glad to.
Gonna have my run uphill like that.
This, the proposal for the mills for the city and for the school district are on the resolution. The city's mill rate of 54.11 mils remains the same as in prior years. The Columbus School Districts, because they have less of requirement for their 3 mil note, they actually went down. So where last year it was 121 point, I think 19 or 15. This year it's 120.44. So the overall mills for the taxpayers is down slightly, but for the city, we had to raise our mill rate for the firemen and police relief fund which I verified with PERS this afternoon, and it's 5.38. The good news is that it went up 0.29 mils, but the general obligation bills that we need for our general obligation bonds actually went down. And so between the two of them, we're able to keep our mill rate the same and not have to raise taxes or make any adjustments.
Okay, so moved. Second, raise the tax.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I need a voice vote on this, starting
Yes.
with Ward 1,
Yes.
Ward
Yes.
2,
Yes.
Ward 4, 5,
Yes.
6.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, council.
All right, when we meet again?
Okay. Before, I didn't get a lot of calls from you all about questions concerning the budget. We still do not know how you want to spend this, $300,000, or if you're happy with what we have in. So we need to hear from you concerning what you want.
What we decided tonight.
She said, yeah, we need to hear back from y'all soon to finish the budget. We have to vote on it by the 15th. We have to have it approved by the 15th.
All right.
Our next council meeting is the 5th. And then we have a work session coming up this Thursday.
This Thursday. All right, I did give somebody some time to figure out something else.
We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
I don't